Hello, my name is Elise Naber Allen, and I am the flute professor at Georgia College and State University, and I'm also one of the band directors at Oak Hill Middle School in Milledgeville, Georgia. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the GMEA 2024-2025 Middle School Lyrical Etude for the flute. This is a really beautiful etude that we have this year. It is in the Baroque style. One of the most important things about playing flute in the Baroque style is how we do our trills. And you do have a note on your music about how to do the trills. In this case, we only have one note in this etude that is trilled, and it is a G. In the Baroque style, we're going to start on the note above, and we're going to make sure that that note is on the downbeat. So since our note that is being trilled is a G, the note above G in our key signature is an A natural. So we're going to start on an A natural, trill the G, then in this case we have some grace notes and go to the F. So it'll end up sounding like this. You want to make sure that the audience, in this case your judges, can hear you play that A, so you want to hold on to it for just a little bit before you trill and then play your grace notes and then the F. Also in the Baroque style, we use minimal vibrato. It's okay to use a little bit of vibrato to color your sound, especially in this slow lyrical etude. We want to make sure that you're always using your very best sound. And in this case, that can include just a little bit of vibrato, but we want to make sure it isn't too heavy. And additionally, in the Baroque style, we want to lean into our notes that are not in our key signature. In this etude, the note like that would be our F sharp in the first full measure. So we just want to make sure that we give it a little bit of love, and it's really important that we create that tension between the G and the F sharp, and then it resolves back to the G, just to make it interesting to your listener. So it'll sound like this. We don't want to shy away from that dissonance. It was really important to the composer to highlight that G. The next thing that might be tricky in this etude is where to breathe. Now fortunately we have a lot of rests, so you can feel free to take a breath in any of the rests. You probably don't want to breathe on every single one, or else you might start to hyperventilate. But it's important to plan out where you are going to breathe in this etude. So I planned out my breaths. I took a breath in the second measure on that 8th rest. It's a little bit longer of a rest, so it's a perfect place to get a lot of good air in before we go to that piano dynamic. Now, if you're able to make it all the way from that 8th note rest to the 16th note rest in measure 5, that is fantastic. If you're unable to do that, you can try sneaking in some breaths in measure 3. If those just aren't enough, you can always take a breath in between one of the dotted 8th, 16th notes, between the dotted 8th and the 16th note in measure 4, so like this. That would be a very musical place to take a breath if you're unable to make it all the way to that rest in measure 5. And then finally, I would take a breath on that quarter rest in measure 6. That'll make sure that you have enough air to make it all the way to the end with a really beautiful sound. The last thing I wanted to talk about in this etude is the dynamics. We don't have a lot of dynamic contrasts written in. We have mezzo forte and piano as explicitly written out dynamics, and just a couple of crescendos and decrescendos. When mezzo forte is the loudest dynamic written on a piece of music, and you're playing as a soloist, not in band class, you can play that mezzo forte louder than you would if you were sitting in your band class. And then that gives you a wider range to make a bigger dynamic contrast before you get to the piano going into measure 3, and then at the very end we want to make sure that we get all the way down to piano to end our etude. It's important that you start off mezzo forte and not just playing at a louder volume, but playing with confidence. I know it can be difficult to be confident when you're in an audition setting, but with lots of practice, I believe that you can get there. And the last thing I wanted to say about dynamics, when you're playing piano, make sure that you have enough air to support your sound, and never play softer or louder than you can play with a good sound. All right, Georgia Flutes, I believe in you. I know that you are going to do really great this audition season. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to email me, and I would love to chat with you. And if you would like a lesson before you go to take your district, region, or all-state band auditions, please let me know. I would love to work with you. All right, best of luck.